Is popping, y'all? It's your man Cloudboy Bales, and welcome to another episode of Wisco Sports Weekly. As you can tell from this video, you know what it's about. I'm going to be making my predictions for who I think is going to win March Madness this year. I do crap at this. I am the worst at picking this, but I do this video every year because why not? But obviously, no one has ever had a perfect bracket in years, so what can you expect? So, without further ado, let's get down to business. First off, UConn versus Stetson. We're easily going to pick UConn. They won the whole thing last year. They're even better this year. Obviously, they are a huge favorite to go on. FAU and Northwestern. Northwestern's kind of been led on by Boo Buie, but FAU was a Final Four team last year, and I really consider that. I'm going to say FAU goes here. Another Final Four team from last year, San Diego State taking on UAB. This is a team that has a possible upset chance, but San Diego State didn't really lose much from last year. I'm going to continue them from moving on. Auburn versus Yale. Yale, to me, they are not that good of a team. They barely got in the tournament this year. I'm taking Auburn. BYU and I didn't even know how to say that, but whatever. I'm picking BYU. At this point, it's like, I like things, but BYU has some things that really stand out, but things that don't. And then Illinois and Morehead State. Between the two, I think Illinois is they play at such a high level, but this is the Big Ten we're talking here. And to be honest with you, every team who wins the Big Ten always does bad in the tournament. Morehead State will upset Illinois. Then we got Washington State taking on Drake. Washington State's a first-time bloomer. Drake always does well when they're in the tournament, so I'm going to pick Drake. And Iowa State and South Dakota State, I'm picking Iowa State to win that one. FAU and UConn. Now, hear me out. I think a lot of people are going to completely say you're crazy for doing this. I think UConn goes down. I don't know why I believe this, but something in my head just says no teams ever go back-to-back. We've seen the teams that win it always choke in the second round of the very following year. It's a trend, and I think the trend is going to continue. FAU didn't really lose much from last year. They are a huge sleeper in this tournament. Absolutely, they will upset UConn. San Diego State taking on Auburn. Between the two, Auburn doesn't really have much explosiveness. San Diego State does. I want to see this rematch from last year. That will be great to watch. BYU and Morehead State, once again, BYU should beat Morehead State. I don't see Morehead State really advancing, but BYU should definitely do some stuff. And then against Drake and Iowa State, I think Iowa State has been playing absolutely lethal as of right now. Between the two, FAU and San Diego State, do I think FAU is going to get the revenge? I don't think they're as good as they were last year. They're still good. They're a sleeper team. I don't think they will beat San Diego State again. San Diego State still beats FAU. And then against BYU and Iowa State, I think Iowa State has been playing really good. With UConn obviously knocked out, they have a big advantage right now. And between the two, Iowa State will go on to the Final Four. All right, on to this side of the bracket, the south side. Houston taking on Longwood. Houston is a heavy favorite. They got absolutely, completely smacked in this tournament, but you never know what happens. It's a long shot. Everything's a long shot at this point, but you never know. Nebraska taking on Texas A&M. Nebraska's really been a sleeper team. I think they're a huge sleeper team. I think they will upset Texas A&M. No one ever gives them consideration at all, but I feel like that's how I see it. Wisconsin taking on James Madison. As a Badgers fan, seeing this matchup really makes me upset. But the Badgers, if they are continuing to play the way that they have been, I think they can really do well in this tournament. However, just for this time, unfortunately, we've seen this scenario happen before where they always seem to have these decency seasons. They have momentum, and then they just lose it. Fortunately, James Madison is a team a sleeper team that could honestly make the Final Four, I'm taking James Madison. Duke versus Vermont. I think Duke's really overrated, but watching Vermont last year, they don't have enough depth to height to really stop Filipowski. Duke should win that one. Texas Tech versus NC State. Ooh boy. NC State is a real sleeper. Texas Tech is a real sleeper. Both these teams, that's a really good matchup right here. I'm gonna take Texas Tech. I think even though as much as I say NC State's been really coming on and really playing, I feel like the same thing always happens at these tournament games. They always screw you up. Kentucky and Oakland, another upset. A 3 seed will also go down here. I'm taking Oakland to upset Kentucky because Kentucky always has been choking in this tournament every single year. They are a joke. I don't ever take them seriously. Boise State and Colorado, I don't really matter. I think Florida will win. Florida's a huge sleeper team as well. And then Marquette versus Western Kentucky. Marquette should be able to knock them off as well. Houston and Nebraska. Houston should beat Nebraska. I don't think Nebraska's good enough. They can beat top teams, but I think Houston is good enough to at least beat the Sweet 16. They've been playing really good. James Madison versus Duke. I think Duke is so overrated. James Madison will also beat Duke. Texas Tech and Oakland. Texas Tech is also a huge sleeper team. They will move on. And against Florida and Marquette, Shaka Smart always seems to choke in the tournament despite great regular seasons. Unfortunately, I will pick Florida here in this game. Houston versus James Madison. Another upset. I'm taking Houston to go down against James Madison. I just don't know what it is about James Madison that makes me say this team is Final Four worthy. Texas Tech versus Florida. Between the two, I'd watch out for Florida. They're a team that people really should watch out for. I think they'll beat Texas Tech. James Madison and Florida, between the two. I know that this is just odd, but I'm taking Madison. I don't know why. Alright, on to the second half of the bracket. North Carolina will easily beat them. I think Michigan State is lucky enough to have even gotten in this tournament. They will beat North Carolina. St. Mary's and Grand Canyon. Oof. I'll take St. Mary's. Alabama should beat Charleston. I think that was the same matchup from last year, if I'm completely being honest. Oh, no, that's a different matchup. Arkansas and Charleston, yeah. New Mexico is a huge sleeper. Definitely taking New Mexico. Baylor versus Colgate. Colgate always makes a tournament, never wins. I'm taking Baylor. Dayton is real good. I'm taking Dayton. Arizona, I think, will beat Long Beach. That's that. North Carolina versus Michigan State. I actually think Michigan State will do. I don't think Michigan State's a good team at all. I think they'll do it. I think they will upset North Carolina. I don't know why, but that's how I see it. St. Mary's versus Alabama. Alabama will beat St. Mary's. And then Alabama taking against Michigan State. I don't see Michigan State going farther than the Sweet 16. I just don't see it. New Mexico versus Baylor. Give me New Mexico. I'm really out of it. And Dayton will upset Arizona. Arizona always chokes in the tournament. Gotta give credit. Dayton, and then New Mexico versus Dayton. I'm taking New Mexico. Dang right. And then between the two, Alabama will be our second Final Four team. Just somehow sees that. Then, done. Right down here, Purdue. They will not be upset in the first round. There's just no way I see it happening again. Between these two, TCU against Utah State. Gonzaga versus McNeese. Gonzaga sucks this year. I'm taking McNeese. Kansas will beat Samford. South Carolina versus Oregon. Oregon's been playing really good as of lately. They won their thing. They have momentum. I definitely taking them. Creighton versus Akron. This is the big 3-seed upset for sure that anybody sees happening. However, I think they'll win one tournament game just because. Texas versus UVA. I'm just going to pick Texas. Max Admas does great in the tournament. Tennessee versus St. Peter's. I'm taking Tennessee. St. Peter's doesn't have that good of a team. so I'm not really scared of them. Purdue and TCU. This is where Purdue will go down. TCU wins here. McNeese and Kansas. We'll get a Big 10. We'll get a Big 12 matchup. That'll be good. Oregon and Creighton. Oregon upsets Creighton, and Tennessee will easily beat Texas. Sweet 16 matches, TCU and Kansas. Kansas will beat TCU. They are a better team than them. And then Tennessee versus Oregon. And then between the two, I'll pick Tennessee. All right. That's that. Our final 4 teams that I have right now are Iowa State versus Alabama and Tennessee versus James Madison. Iowa State has been on fire as of lately. I will pick them to beat Alabama. And James Madison, despite their reign, it ends here. Dalton Connect is going to be the star of this tournament. It will be Iowa State versus Tennessee. And to finish off, I believe our winner will be Tennessee this year. So, if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts, and this will be a fun tournament. For sure. We'll see you next time.